our early signing day media availability with Coach Wilcox. As always, if you could just please let me know in the chat if you have questions, and we'll get rolling. We'll go ahead and get started with Jeff Ferrato. Jeff, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, can you just sort of give us your overall evaluation of your class and what in particular you like about it?
Yeah, really encouraging. We no drama, I guess, to speak of on signing day, which is always nice. And signed 19 guys, an entire, I guess, 3-4 defense. If you look at it that way, 3 down linemen, 4 linebackers, and 4 defensive backs. And on offense, we had 8 players, 3 O linemen, 2 tight ends, a couple receivers, and a quarterback. And breaking those down, the O linemen on offense, really 2 guys that have position flexibility with a lot of height and wingspan length. Big frames that are big guys. An interior lineman, and Dylan, that we think is really kind of a road grader, a very tough and explosive guy. The receivers, different type physical tools, but both really good players, extremely competitive players. 2 tight ends that I think will complement each other really well. Because again, different, not all tight ends are the same, and really 2 talented tight ends and a really good quarterback that we feel like has a great future. Defensively, the 3D linemen have flexibility in moving up and down the line. The 4 linebackers, the same thing, and the 4 DBs, really 2 corners, 2 safeties. They could also play some different positions. So I think the big thing is with the versatility in the positions that the guys could play. It's a very, very productive group when you watch their tape that we were able to watch either their junior year, except for 4 of them their senior year. And the other thing is they're really sharp guys. I think our average GPA with this class is about a 3.4 coming out of high school, which is pretty impressive, you know. So 8 of them are going to be here in January, getting going early, and it's overall a very good class. Obviously, there's always going to be work to do with any incoming class or any incoming player, but I think the physical traits are there, the want to and the character is there, and the academic profile is there. So we are really, really encouraged about this group.
And the one position I don't think you signed anybody was running back. Was that sort of by design, or you just didn't find someone you like, or you feel comfortable you have enough people in your program now?
We like our running backs on our roster. We are still actively recruiting a running back. So we'll see where that goes down the road here.
Okay, we'll move to Trace Travers, and if you guys could just limit it to a couple of questions each, and we'll probably get around the horn a couple times. Go ahead, Trace.
Gotcha. I wanted to ask about the tight end position. You signed 2 Northern California guys in Jermaine and Karaoke. How, you said they complement each other. How do they complement each other?
Yeah, the first point is a great point, Trace. 12 from California overall, and I think 7 from the Northern California area, which is great. Those 2 guys, Jermaine's a very talented, highly recruited player for good reason. And right down the road here, he's got a really, really special drive, motivation. When you talk to him, we've got to know him, quite a while ago. It's been a couple of years, seems like we've been recruiting Jermaine. And physically, he has that tight end profile, a true tight end. He's he's probably 6'5" or so, maybe 250 pounds, maybe a little more. He's a very athletic. I mean, his frame, his shoulders are about this wide. He fills up the door, and I think he's still growing as a player. He's gonna continue to work at his development. But when you look at playing at the line of scrimmage, flexing out, blocking, catching, run after the catch, he has ability to do all those things as he continues to develop. So we're really excited about Jermaine joining us, and he'll be here soon, getting to work. And then Karaoke, who we know that family well, as you probably know. We've got to know them the past 4 years or so, and when we first met him, I think he was a freshman and we were recruiting his older brother, and he was maybe 5'11" or 6 foot at that time. And now Kalecki's about 6'6" and then some. And he's a very athletic guy, and he can get down the middle of the field. He can catch the ball with ease. I think Kalecki probably, if he wanted to, could play a few different positions, but we really like him at that tight end spot. And again, different styles of tight ends, and that's something we want to continue to grow in our offense, is that tight end position and how you can use those guys to create some issues for the defense. And I know our offensive coaches, coordinator Bill Musgrave and Coach Tui are really eager to get those guys here and working with them. And we know on defense how difficult that can be to defend. So we're really encouraged about that group.
And on the other side of the ball, you said it yourself, you signed a full 3-4 defense. I wanted to focus on the defensive line. Even though you guys didn't go for a true nose guard type, what are some of the things that stand out about the 3 defensive linemen that you picked up?
Yeah, the ability to, they're explosive guys, got a lot of power. You see them make a lot of plays in the backfield. They can turn and chase the ball. In some years, we will sign a traditional nose, and some years we may not. Just kind of how the structure of our defense is set up. But all those guys can play kind of anywhere from a 2-eye out to a 5 or 6 technique, we think. And so when you watch the tape, it was the explosiveness, the ability to make some athletic plays in the backfield, rush the quarterback on the interior, and I think, again, still have that size for the run game. So they'll continue to grow and develop, but really good group there. Big personalities along that defensive front, which we've learned in recruiting. But again, another really good group of guys that we're eager to get started with.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to Shaylin Singh from the Daily Cal.
Hey, Coach. I was wondering, for especially the guys who didn't have football seasons at all this fall, did you guys give any recommendations to them on how they should be training or conditioning, or did you mainly leave it up to their high school coaches or themselves?
Yeah, so some of them are still potentially going to compete in the spring. But all these guys, I mean, this is one of the things that was noticeable. They're continuing to work out, and whether it's weight room, or they're maybe in the back of maybe their buddy's garage. I mean, they're just finding ways to work out, finding a field to work out on. The places they come from maybe have different rules and restrictions. Maybe they were in school, maybe they weren't in school. I think only 4 of them were actually playing. Others were practicing. So they're continuing to grow and work on their craft. And now that they have signed, we can actually provide them some instruction. But prior to them signing, we're not able to give them workouts or anything like that.
Great, thank you. And then also, can you talk about the football program's creative team and just how much their graphic design and video and social media stuff helps your recruiting?
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked that, because there is a team of people. Our coaches are certainly involved in recruiting, but we have a team of people, and there's really no order here, but Benji Palu, Zach Boshin, Marshall Charrington, Derek Haithcock, my man Norm, Sloan and BMAC, and Nick Mitchell. And this group of people has been instrumental in helping us put this class together. And so without them and their support, and whether it's transcripts or organizing cut-ups or building, creating the content that you all have maybe seen, I don't know that we could do the job that we're doing as coaches. So the content piece has been huge, and thank goodness for those guys for kind of brainstorming and having the know-how to create it, because if we wouldn't want it left up to me, I'll tell you that much. Thank goodness for them. They did an awesome job. And using the Zoom platform and the virtual tours and the graphics and the way to interact with people and teach them about Cal, and maybe a mom or dad who hadn't been here got to see it literally like they were on campus or in the dorm or in the stadium. And that was a really big piece of it. And we're going to continue to utilize that going forward, regardless of our health orders. So it'll be a great tool for us. But thank goodness for them. They had so much to do with this, and we really appreciate them.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Rusty Simmons from the Chronicle.
Coach, from the outside, it looks like this is a strong Bay Area and California class, and just wondered how important that is to you in recruiting to take care of this region.
Yeah, it always is, and we signed 12. I think 12 from California, and then 15 within the kind of Pac-12 footprint, so to speak. I think 7 or so from Northern California, and we're always going to start here. And on a given year, the number of players, for whatever reason, that would be a fit for Cal may change. I mean, there's not a standard number in a given year, but we were really fortunate this year. There's great players in the Bay Area, and they were great fits for us. And I think our coaches and our support staff and the program itself did a really good job of recruiting them, and we're glad that they're signing with us because we want to keep all these guys home that are fits for Cal.
And this probably fits into some of that other stuff, but a couple of the recruits that I talked to today talked about bonding over Zoom. Have you seen any of that, felt any of that during this process?
It's been noticeable that this group has engaged more in these kind of recruiting Zooms and FaceTime. Like, they talk to each other a lot. And I don't know if it's just the person, because we got some big personalities in this group, big ones, and which is great. And I don't know if it's that, or if it's because they're at home and a lot of them are using Zoom for classes and that's how they're talking to their friends and so on. But it has been unbelievable. Like, even today we had kind of our Zoom link was just operational all day, and they were all on there and just talking to each other. And, we were in and out doing our thing and working on whatever we were working on and congratulating them. But then they were just staying on there and hanging out with each other. And so I would imagine it's a combination of the personalities, the engagement with each other, and also just this Zoom world that we're living in. So we're going to continue to build on that as well, because that had a lot to do with it. They are really connected as a group.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Jim McGill from Bear Insider.
Hey, Coach, congrats on a real solid class so far. I wanted to chime in on the media part. The tweets were outstanding with the little mini highlights and the coach comments and the player comments all rolled into one. Just amazing. So congrats to the team on that. Can you talk a little bit about the linebackers? Patrick's a guy who's an outside guy for sure, but can you talk about where the other 3 are kind of slated to go at this point?
Yeah. And to your first comment, we appreciate that. Again, that's the work of our support team, who just does an unbelievable job. And they're teaching me, as we go along, but it's great to be able to celebrate the recruits and do it with great content. So, Patrick Hisatake is a big physical kind of stand-up outside linebacker that we think we've played with some of these guys in the past that fit that mold. Pass rusher, can set the edge of the defense, has some flexibility in that role. And if you can kind of think back to, Tevin Paul played that role for us some in previous years. We've had a couple guys with that big frame to play that outside linebacker spot. Caleb Elamsor, a local guy whose mom went to Cal, got Cal lineage, very athletic guy that we think has some position flexibility to kind of play more of that that field outside linebacker role. And again, ton of upside and a little bit different frame, a little bit leaner, but still strong and athletic. Let's see here. Moses, who comes from the Sacramento area, really eager, extremely motivated, loves Cal, has been unbelievable to talk to and engaging in this process. Again, another guy that's got a really good build, maybe 235 pounds or so, got really good length. We think he could probably play any of those linebacker spots, which is great in terms of the versatility, what you can do on defense. And Nate Rutena, we're gonna start him off at linebacker. He was from last year's class, and a guy that we think has a great upside. He is a really productive player out here at Monta Vista. Let's see, did I miss him? I'm missing here. Patrick,
No.
Caleb, yeah, that's the group.
And the DBs, it seems like there's a lot of position flexibility there. Are you leaning towards Lou at the cornerback slot and Caleb at the cornerback slot and Fatu and
Hunter?
And Hunter on the inside?
Yep, you got it. And I do think they all have the ability to play more than one position, but that's how we're going to start it. I think all those guys, again, can play more than one spot. They all have the ability to cover. Some of the guys are a little bit bigger, and there's some different body types in there. But again, the position flexibility and the versatility is pretty evident in this class.
My last question, there's a lot to like about the class, obviously, but can you throw out a few sort of special talents a few of these guys have that really excite you?
Oh, man, that's hard. That would put me on the spot. I mean, I could go through all of them and tell them, there's a reason that we were so eager to sign all of them. Maybe if you want to ask about somebody individually, I just don't want to leave anybody out because we're thrilled about the class, and we think.
Let's say J. Mike. He's a guy.
J. Mike. Well,
reviews.
I think it was last week he was on ESPN it started circulating on the You Got Mossed highlight, and it seemed like there was one of those a week from him. He jumped up. He's tall to begin with, and then his vertical leap and his length, it's just pretty impressive to watch him go attack the ball in the red zone. So that was seeing that on ESPN. That was circulating throughout the program and the players. That was pretty fun.
Okay, we'll go to Jackson Moore, 24/7.
Coach, you've got a significant group of early enrollees. Curious what your thoughts are about how this differs with a lot of them not playing a senior season, but they joined players that also played 8+ less games than they normally would.
Yeah, it's becoming more and more common, whether we're in a COVID year or not, that people are enrolling early. So we'll have, I think, 8 of them who will be here mid-January. Others who may participate in spring as of now. I think that all remains to be seen. As we found out, we're not quite sure, what tomorrow looks like, let alone January, February, and March. So we're hopeful that those guys get to play for their sake. The guys that will be here early, as I mentioned, will be here mid-January, and we'll get them started with classes and winter workouts and getting prepared for spring football.
And you mentioned earlier there's a running back you're looking for. Are there any other openings in this class or any needs that you look forward to beyond this?
Well, we'll always evaluate anybody that we think can help our roster and help our team. We feel really good where we're at. We are continuing to recruit a running back. We'll see where that leads. And, we always tend to keep a few scholarships available, whether, coming out of this early signing day. But we feel really good about the roster. We feel good about our team coming back and supplementing them with the new guys and creating more and more competition. That helps everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go back to Trace Travers from Rivals.
Yeah, we've gone this far without talking about the quarterback and Kai Milner. What kind of qualities have you seen in him? And I wanted to ask if you saw the play where he did basically the wedding bouquet toss over his head.
Well, yeah, we saw it. Again, that's another video that made the rounds throughout the players and the coaches. Kai is a talented guy. First of all, he's got great energy. When you're on Zoom with him, or when he was here in person, he actually came here a few years ago with another guy that we were recruiting when he was just a youngster. But then when he came back on campus with his family before the shelter in place, and then it's been all Zoom, but his energy is just evident. Every time you talk to him, he kind of just lights up the Zoom. And so he's got the leadership abilities from that at that position, which you always like. And then I think the ability to throw the ball is pretty evident, and how quick he can get rid of it. Bill always talks about it with the ability to flick the ball with his wrist and how quick that thing gets out. And he's a talented guy. Certainly, he will, like all of them, have a lot to learn and got to continue to develop. But he's starting with a great skill set and a great demeanor.
And I wanted to talk about the guy who started your class, which was Maven. What kind of skills has he shown, even though he was one of the guys who hasn't played a senior year as of right now?
Yeah, he hasn't, but I will tell you his work ethic during this time and his commitment to his training is impressive. And he keeps us informed on that. You see the videos, and what he's doing has been impressive. He's a very physical guy. I mean, he's put together, really strong. Again, can play multiple spots at receiver. We think he's got the speed to go down the field, and he can also catch a screen or a quick game and break a tackle. And so we're really excited about a Maven, and he is one of the guys that's just had he's kind of been part of the glue for this group. He's one of the guys that's always talking to the other recruits. He's got a great personality, and I know he's excited to be here, and we're looking forward to him, joining us ASAP.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Rusty Simmons from the Chronicle.
Coach, I was going to ask a general question about the class as a whole, and you can fill in the blanks anywhere you want to. I usually hear you talk about being smart and tough and loving football. Can you rank this group based on those three attributes and anything else that I missed?
Those intangible things, as part of our process, we're kind of looking to check off in this, early in recruiting, that they have exhibited those qualities, smart guys, tough guys. Do they love football? And, you find that out kind of once you get to know them and you talk to their coaches, and maybe you get a chance to watch a game or a practice, and then maybe you talk to the counselor or somebody in the hallway about them. And then you just start to get the information. You learn more about their family, where they come from. And we feel really good about all three of those areas with each player. And so it's the thing that is noticeable, I think, when you look at their kind of the character. I mean, again, I think the group's about a 3.4 GPA as an average for the group coming in. So they obviously care about school, and then the competitiveness and the love of football. I think we have seen in their high school tape how they approach workouts, the references from their coaches, but a lot of times from other coaches that compete against them. They can give you some really good information on, when they played against these guys. And then again, the toughness, have they exhibited some toughness somewhere in their life or in their football career? And each one of these guys has done that. So it still takes a lot of work, as we all know. It's, this is the beginning for them of a new stage of their life and their football life. And there takes time and effort and investment on their part and on our part. But we're really eager to start with all these guys because we feel like it's a really, really good, talented group.
And we see the result today, but what has this process been like for you? I mean, it's so unique for everyone on the outside. What's it been like on the inside?
Again, I can't say enough about our support unit, with the group of people that I mentioned earlier. Our coaches have done a fantastic job. And then we've gotten better at virtual communication. We flat out have gotten better at it, coaches especially. And I think that's had everything to do with connecting with people. Recruiting is, you have to build a relationship, and it's hard to do that just on a phone. So being able to see people face to face via Zoom has been a big part of it. So it was a transition for all of us, or most of us. I would say the players transitioned much better than we did, because coaches in general don't really face FaceTime each other, our friends or family, usually your text or phone call, but being face to face on Zoom, having these tools. Again, thankfully, a lot of these players were on campus prior, but that was a big part of it. Continue to develop that relationship in a unique time.
And if I can ask one more, I think Kyle said we were supposed to ask two. I'm sorry. I was going to ask one about J. Mike. Just from the outside, you see highlights and you see these red zone catches. Does that translate to his entire game? I mean, is that the kind of player he is?
Yeah. It seemed like, he's one of the four guys that got to play, but each week there would be something. And maybe it was a red zone throw that was on the top shelf, and he, like the one we saw, he jumped up over 1, 2, or 3 people and caught it for a touchdown, or he caught a slant or a screen and split the defenders and ran away from everybody. But there seemed to be a play or more each week where that was evident. And so he's a highly recruited player for good reason. He's also a very intelligent guy and knows what he wants and is determined. So we're really, really eager to get J. Mike here and add him to that group of wideouts and continue to work with him and help him be the best that he can possibly be.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Jeff Ferrata.
Yeah, Justin, just curious, this class is a little bit smaller than some of your recent classes, I believe. Is any of that have to do with your uncertainty going forward to what roster sizes or scholarship limits will be in a year or 2 or 3?
Yeah, some. There is a bit of the unknown in terms of that, but we also we wanted to make sure that every guy we signed, we felt really good about. We didn't feel like the need to reach. We felt like our roster is more full than it's been in past years. Since we've been here, there's more of a complete roster kind of from top to bottom at each position. There's always going to be needs, but we felt like we were in a better position that way. And we wanted to hold a few spots if need be, and we can always push those forward. In a time like this where, the future classes, there's not the certainty that there would be in other years, we felt like that was an important thing. So the nice thing is we got a really good size class with really good players, and we feel good about the future classes and projecting the size and scope of those as well.
What does it say about what you guys all were able to pull off that in a year when you couldn't evaluate most kids based on their games because they didn't have them, and you couldn't have on campus or see them face to face in person, and yet you still feel like you've got maybe as good a class as you've had since you've been there?
Yeah, I think the junior year evaluations we felt very strongly about, and then we felt really strongly about the people, the type of guys they were, and that we didn't have the concern of not, for some of the guys not being able to play. Would everybody have loved to play? Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure the players would. We would have loved for them to play, but that wasn't in the cards just this year. And most of them we had seen on our campus before at some time or another. And so we felt good about that. So all in all, considering the circumstances, we're very comfortable with each and every one of these guys.
Thanks.
Okay, you got time for a few more here. Jim McGill, Bear Insider.
Coach, do you have any guidance on what the roster exceptions are going to be next year? Is it capped at a certain level or no cap? And do you have to go back to 85 the year after?
So the last question, as of right now, that's how the instruction by the NCAA is to get to 85 the year after. For a year, there's an exemption based on the number of seniors that you have. So we have a number of seniors who are making decisions. Some have already made them one way or the other. I'm not going to go into who's doing what quite yet. We'll release that at the appropriate time. But essentially, you can be over the 85 by that number of seniors.
Can everybody who wants to come back, come back?
Yeah, we're supporting those guys by giving them information, whether it's about the NFL, their graduation situation, there's some different information that each person needs in order to make those decisions. So we're helping them through that. There's a lot for them to digest for some of them right now, based on this past season, kind of where they're at, how long they've been here, their academic schedule. So we're helping them with that information, and then we're meeting with them and kind of working with them to get to the right place for that individual. So as I mentioned, we'll announce all that at the appropriate time. Some guys may do that on their own. We don't want to do that for them, but probably would say early January sometime we'll have a roster update for you all.
I just wanted to ask about class composition. Obviously, you've always targeted the right type of fit, but correct me if I'm wrong. Have you placed an emphasis in recent times and in this class on getting bigger, taller, and having guys that can fill out and just be bigger players?
Absolutely. There's no question about it. And I think even if you look at the heights on these guys, that's pretty evident across the board at all positions. That's been an emphasis of ours from the get-go, and we feel like this group physically fits that bill. And I think I was telling somebody earlier today, the reason is when all things are equal, the big guys usually beat the little guys. And so, we want big frames, guys with wingspans. And that doesn't mean a short player can't be a dynamic, great player. But as a general rule, we want to have a tall, kind of long arm team, because at every position that can help you perform better again. And believe me, there are exceptions to every rule, but generally that's the case.
Okay. Shaylin Singh, Daily Cal.
I was wondering if you could talk about the importance of continuing to recruit these guys even after they've made their initial commitments.
Well, we're going to continue to recruit our entire team, to be honest with you. I mean, once they've signed, so they've made the commitment to Cal, we've committed to them for their scholarship. But, we talk about this all the time. Like, we don't just stop recruiting a player and how you treat them. We want to treat our guys really well. Now they're going to be introduced to how we do things, which may be different than how they did them in high school or junior college or whatever. And we're going to set really high expectations for all these guys, and then we're going to support them like crazy. But it's good that they want to be here, and they need to feel that from us. And it doesn't, sometimes holding them accountable and being firm with them is necessary. And other times you got to pat them on the back. But I don't know that you ever stop recruiting your own team. I don't know that, you don't take your team out to official visits all the time. But we want all the guys to feel, like we're invested in them, and that's how it should be.
Thanks.
Okay, we'll go to Trace Travers from Rivals.
In watching the video that you guys put out on Derek Wilkins earlier, Coach Browning said when he came up for a visit, I think in March, you guys did some impromptu karaoke. I want to know about this story. Did you sing? Did he sing? How'd that go?
What do you think, Trace?
There's a reason I'm asking this question.
Okay. You want the inside scoop, huh? Well, Derek and his mom came up for a visit in spring. I want to say it was right before the shelter in place. And one of our offensive graduate assistants, Will Heck, for some reason, we were out there visiting and just kind of enjoying each other's company. And Will made mention of what a great voice he had, or something to that effect. And so somehow, some way, there was a karaoke machine made available. I don't know where that thing came from, whether that's Norm or Foxy. Somehow, some way, out of thin air, a karaoke machine appeared in the lobby, and Sweet Caroline started, and there goes Will Heck and the Wilkins crew, and it was pretty solid. I'm going to be honest. I was a spectator, and I was grading. We all gave it grades, but That's a true story. So
All right, thank you.
it actually got played again today when he was up on the Zoom. Just another tidbit. The Sweet Caroline got played today when Derek and his mom joined us on Zoom. And Will, I think, made an appearance. And Will's average singer at best, just for the record.
All right, thank you.
Well, Rusty, it's going to be tough to beat that one, but go ahead and give it a shot.
Yeah, I definitely don't have any inside knowledge on karaoke. But I will ask it. This class is big, as you talked about, in size. I wanted to ask about one of the smaller players, about Lou, right here in our backyard, and what you see in him.
Yeah. Again, exceptions to every rule. And Lou is, he's not 6'2", but he's not small. He's got a really good muscular build. He's got long levers and the quickness, the football IQ. He's always around the ball. That's what we noticed, I think, watching Lou, is he just was around the football, and we know where he comes from. He's a kind of one of those, he didn't say a lot. He's a pretty quiet guy, but very intelligent. And the guys, we know the coaches well at De La Salle, and they speak extremely highly of him. And that means a lot to us as well. So we're looking forward to adding Lou to that mix, and another guy that can play corner, inside at nickel, and depending on how he fills out, could be one of those explosive, kind of safety cover guys as well. So I think he's got a lot of versatility and a lot of good football in front of him.
And then Trace asked a ton of good questions about Kai. I was wondering about him. Is he somebody that you could see push into play pretty quickly? We want to prepare all these guys to do just that. So we don't necessarily look at any of the players and say, hey, come in here and let's, spend 3 years and we'll see where you're at by your sophomore year. We want to push all of them to be as ready as fast as possible. And so we think Kai's got excellent skills. He's still got a lot to learn, but I know he's going to work at that. And we want to get all those guys in a position where they can go out and practice and earn the right to play through their practice reps. And it'll be no different for him than it would be any other guy. Thank you.
If you guys have a final question, please do put it in the chat. We're kind of saving one special guest for the last question. So we'll surprise Coach here. If anybody
I think I already know who it is down there.
If nobody has one, we'll let ZBear17 have the final question today. You might be on mute.
He's on mute. Is that Zebo?
What's
I knew
up,
it.
Coach?
You need a better name than that. That's not very tricky. I knew it was you. Got to learn how to use Zoom, Zebo. You just push the unmute button. It's not that hard. Let's go. What do you got?
Fair enough. To be fair, Coach, Will Heck does have a pretty good voice, and there's some other guys you have on staff that might be able to sing better than Will that you may not know about. I'm not going to put anybody on blast today. That's not my call. So, Coach, I was just wondering, what's the game plan for your staff now that the season's pretty much over and you got the signing day wrapping up? Is everybody going to be working remotely still? Are they going to go back to the office?
Yep. Good question. We are wrapping things up today and a little tomorrow, but they'll be out of the office. We'll be working virtually. We have some exit meetings going with our players in the next few days to wrap the season up. And then we'll be back in that early to mid-January timeframe to start on our winter preparation. Welcome our new players in the 14th is the day that they'll be checking in. And then our returning players will be here on the 19th, starting winter workouts and their winter class schedule. So there's a little bit of time for some of those folks to spend time with their friends and family.
Awesome. And are you going to be taking any time off this winter break? And if so, what are you going to do? Fishing, skiing?
Well, Zebo, there's a lot of options. I haven't got that far. I was really looking forward to this session, and really glad you showed up. Zebo, it's nice to see an old familiar face. And then maybe tomorrow, get home and see where it goes. But don't have anything planned. Really gonna kind of spend a couple days here wrapping up the season, working on a few things, getting ready for January, and then we'll see,
All right, well, that sounds good. If you ever end up heading out to Montana, that's where I'm at right now. Feel free to hit me up, and we'll meet up.
Okay, Zebo, that's good to hear. I hope you have a parka.
It's a Tacoma,
Zebo,
but close enough.
We'll give you some advice, Zebo. Make sure you keep your day job. All right. We won't make you a reporter.
Sure. Sounds good.
All right. Well, everybody.